Hi, I'm Charlie, and this is a guide for playing a Zerk warrior for farming Citadel of Flames Path 1. This dungeon farm yields approximately 10 gold per hour with a good group, making it one of the more lucrative activities in Guild Wars 2. The party composition for this farm is 4 Zerk warriors and 1 Mesmer. The general strategy for the run is for the warriors to maximize their damage output in order to kill enemies quickly. The primary need for the Mesmer is to use Time Warp, which further speeds up the boss fights, although the Mesmer has other responsibilities as well. Let's get started with the armor for the Zerk warrior. The name Zerk warrior refers to a warrior, or any profession for that matter, that wears full berserker's gear. The upside to this gear is that a player can deal incredible damage by maxing out power, precision, and critical damage. The downside to this gear is that the player is left vulnerable to damage due to lack of toughness and vitality. This weakness in survivability is overcome in the COF Path 1 farm simply by killing enemies faster than they can kill you. I personally crafted my armor, although there are a number of ways to obtain Berserker's armor, such as dungeons or the trading post. On each piece of armor, apply a ruby orb. While other upgrade components are applicable here, I recommend ruby orbs for maximum damage, and therefore the fastest runs. Ideally, your trinkets will all be Ascended Berserker's gear with gilded infusions, but realistically you'll start with exotic Berserker's gear. On each trinket, apply an exquisite ruby jewel. Don't worry yourself about a back item. If you have a good one, great. If not, it's not a big deal. Your primary weapon set will be a greatsword, which should also have the Berserker's stats of power, precision, and critical damage. Since we're farming COF, a superior Sigil of Smothering is a great damage booster. If you don't have one when you start farming, simply ignore the sigil for 5-10 runs, and you'll likely receive one as a drop. That's all of the gear required to farm COF Path 1 as a Zerk warrior, but once you start receiving enough COF tokens, you should invest in Berserker's Axe and Warhorn, for reasons I'll cover in the walkthrough. Traits are always an area of dispute among players, but this setup is the best that I've seen in action. Without going into too much detail, this trait build increases damage significantly when Adrenaline is full, increases greatsword damage in general, and reduces greatsword skill cooldowns. I don't want to overload you with too much information, but once you get comfortable with the run, take a look at the build more in depth. You may discover a few minor things that you can exploit to speed up the run. I don't know about you, but I'm a little sick of all the build nonsense. Let's get into the game. Your first 2 utility skills will always start as for Great Justice and On My Mark. Your third utility skill will either be a Banner or Frenzy. You'll need to coordinate with your team to figure out which one you're bringing. In Pugs, you'll see a variance in how many banners are brought. The absolutely necessary ones are Banner of Strength and Banner of Discipline. Banner of Defense and Banner of Tactics are useful, but not needed. Sometimes a group will bring Battle Standard, but in my opinion it's better for everyone to bring Signet of Rage as their elite. In an ideal group, one warrior brings Banner of Strength, one brings Banner of Discipline, and the other 2 each have Frenzy as their third utility. The only warrior who will need to change skills during the run is whoever has the door, which we'll talk about in a bit. When you first get into the dungeon, wait, I almost forgot about nourishment. You'll want to be using Omnom Berry bars and potions of Flame Legion slaying. The strength of the potion doesn't really matter. The ones that drop in the dungeon are perfectly fine, but I use the powerful ones just for the hell of it. Anyways, as I was saying, when you first get into the dungeon, make a slight left. One party member will go talk to the NPC, and the other 4 will head to the gate. If you're the player in the party talking to the NPC, then run down around the rocks like so to trigger the cutscene. Take advantage of your greatsword skills 3 and 5 for mobility. Skip the cutscene and immediately talk to Farah. Click the third option to exit the dialog box. Next, talk to Ista Fuseclaw when the quest marker appears and choose Path 1, then regroup with the rest of your party at the gate as quickly as possible. The reason for talking to Farah is that she will follow you immediately and get to the gate faster, shaving some time off the run.
Excellent. Let's get started. Hey Mag, come with me. I need a little of your expertise.
If you aren't talking to the NPC, simply run over to the gate like so. When you get to the gate, start hitting it. That's right, hit it. For some reason, attacking the gate will enter you into combat and build your adrenaline, which, if you remember from our traits, will boost our attack.
Let's get started. Hey Mag, come with me. I need a little of your expertise.
Oh, of course. Lead the way.
Now we're ready for the first mobs. There are a few audio cues you can use to precast some of your skills. When Mag says, right, cast your Warhorn skills 4 and 5 if you have one for a little swiftness and vigor. Then switch to your greatsword. As soon as the gate opens, use for Great Justice to grant everyone might and fury. Dodge through the fireballs from the flame turrets and target one of the Godforged fanatics. The Mesmer will pull the fanatics into the wall by the right turret using Temporal Curtain. Your goal is to take out both fanatics and the right turret all at once. The reason for targeting a fanatic and not the turret is that you should use on my mark as soon as the fanatics get pulled, and you can't apply vulnerability to an object. Do your best to stay out of the firewalls here. If you or someone else goes down, don't res. They'll rally in a matter of seconds. You can get the most damage by using 100 blades and aiming whirlwind attack into the wall, then switching to an axe which has a higher auto attack damage than the greatsword. If you don't have an axe, it's not a big deal, just keep swinging that greatsword. Once those 3 things are dead, then run over to the other flame turret and use 100 blades. Then sprint towards the slave driver for the first boss fight. If you're responsible for a banner, place it between the slave driver and the wall. Just before the slave driver turns hostile, cast Signet of Rage. When he turns hostile, the Mesmer will knock him back into the wall and use Time Warp. Use for Great Justice and On My Mark as soon as they're recharged. Just like before, use Whirlwind attack into the wall and 100 blades. If you have an axe, switch to it after using 100 blades. Then switch back to your greatsword as soon as the weapon swap cooldown is recharged. While you're on your axe, use Cyclone Axe to apply additional vulnerability. This is the same boss fight without Time Warp to show you the difference in duration. The Mesmer's Time Warp may not be recharged from the final boss fight if you're running multiple runs quickly.
Hold this entrance in case we need to retreat. Get out of here.
The next part is simply a run. Go up to the gate and wait for it to open. You can use Warhorn skill 4 to provide party-wide speed boost. Then switch to your greatsword to take advantage of skills 3 and 5.
Where's Priya Irontooth?
If you hurry, you'll be witness to her death.
They're going to execute across that bridge up ahead. Come on. Our engineer should be on the other side.
I personally like to target one of the far God-forged flame callers and sprint to him once I have a straight line path to do so. Just dodge through their attacks and make your way into the room where we'll kill some acolytes. When you first enter the room, run past the far braziers to ensure you've lost aggro of all mobs from the bridge run. For this part, we have to kill a total of 10 acolytes. They spawn in groups of 4, one around each of these 4 braziers, with a respawn time of approximately 1 minute. Since we have to wait for the acolytes to respawn, we'll simply kill the first group of acolytes, and then run to lose aggro of the mobs. There are a few places you can use to lose aggro, but this is the most reliable. Simply jump up on the rock like so. Try to stand in the back of the rock as I am here, as sometimes enemies won't lose aggro if you stand closer to them. You may have noticed I used Frenzy when attempting to kill that second acolyte. I did that to show you how Frenzy will greatly increase the amount of damage you take. Use it at your own risk. Here, Frenzy generally isn't worth it, although it can be handy if you get knocked down as it's also a stun breaker. After waiting approximately 30 seconds, go wait for the acolytes to reappear while staying outside of aggro range of the other enemies. When the acolyte closest to you reappears, target it and use sprint to get to it faster. Help yourself out by using Signet of Rage for Great Justice and On My Mark. Once you've killed the second group of acolytes, go back to the rock to lose aggro again. After another 30 seconds of waiting, we'll rinse and repeat, although this time we'll only need to kill 2 of the 4 acolytes that spawn in order to complete this part of the dungeon. This clip is to show you the importance of situational awareness.
Your usefulness is at an end.
Oh, shut up and kill me already.
You may notice that my team is unsure of who is attacking which acolyte, and the acolyte to my right is left unattended. Had I not seen that, one acolyte would have gone unkilled. If a party member gets down during this part, don't bother resing them. If you get defeated, simply wait for your party to kill the acolyte and spawn the waypoint. You'll have to wait until all members are actually out of combat before you can use it though. Once you waypoint, make sure to run back and get your chest before continuing the run.
I zealots got themselves a walking, searing effigy.
Kriya, are you?
If you're going to be taking the gate, also referred to as the controller, this is where you want to change your utility skills to for Great Justice, Frenzy, and Balanced Stance. Stack up on the gate and wait for it to open. This is the one part of the dungeon where the Mesmer truly gets to shine. You'll see the Mesmer place a portal entrance before the gate opens. As good etiquette, use your Warhorn skills 4 and 5 just before the gate opens in order to provide your Mesmer with swiftness and vigor. When the gate opens, jump on one of the braziers and wait for the flame to spawn. When it does, pick it up and run to the portal entrance. When the Mesmer places the exit, you'll be able to use the portal to reappear on the other side of the boulders. Place your flame in an unlit brazier, and once all 3 are lit, the gate will open. If you're taking the gate controller, try to target it before the revered Forge driver runs through and the gate closes. This way you'll have the controller pre-targeted and you'll be able to use sprint as soon as the gate opens. If you haven't already, use Signet of Rage here. As soon as the gate opens, use For Great Justice and Sprint. As you're sprinting, use Balanced Stance to prevent knockdown. Just before you use 100 Blades, use Frenzy to speed up your attack. Auto attack until the controller is low enough on health where Whirlwind attack will finish it off. After grabbing your chest, continue to the left side of the final room in order to lose aggro of the God-Forged Hellstorm. If you're not taking the gate controller, run to one of the 4 braziers in the next room. When you get close to one, a fiery dome will appear around you. All 4 domes must be active in order for the gate to open for the gate controller spiker. Stay inside the dome. I repeat, stay inside the dome. If you don't, a dome will appear around the gate controller that will knock back whoever's spiking. And that's a big no-no. So how do you stay alive? Well, the Mesmer has its own tricks, but for the warrior, it's pretty frickin' easy. Use the same skills you've been using the entire run to kill the mobs attacking you. Try to angle yourself so that 100 Blades hits all the enemies. If you're responsible for a banner, don't use it here. Save it for the final boss. Once the gate controller is destroyed, continue to the last room of the dungeon. The final boss isn't difficult, but there are a few tricks to the trade. If you had the gate controller, wait for the cooldown on Balanced Stance before heading into combat so you can switch it out for On My Mark, unless you're responsible for a banner, in which case, switch it out to said banner. For this fight, use Signet of Rage, For Great Justice, and On My Mark whenever they recharge. If you have a banner, drop it on the boss and begin attacking. Use 100 Blades whenever it's recharged, as it's your most powerful burst skill. One of the boss's 3 skills knocks you down. If you get downed, destroy a nearby crystal to rally. The boss's second skill is a purple flamethrower that you can simply walk out of while continuing to attack him. The boss's third skill is when he flexes his chest and then expels a burst of energy. This sets you on fire, so I like to use Whirlwind attack to dodge it, then immediately use Sprint to return to melee distance. If you have an axe, switching to it immediately after 100 Blades and then switching back as soon as the weapon swap cooldown recharges times perfectly with the recharge of 100 Blades, and will dish out more damage overall. Make sure to loot the boss's body as well as the chest, and then simply skip the cutscene to receive your final reward.
An experience to remember.
This has been a tutorial on farming Citadel of Flames Path 1 with Zerk Warrior. Once again, my name is Charlie, and I hope you put this farm to good use in making yourself a decent sum of money. I'll see you guys in game.